thank you all for coming out on this beautiful rainy evening. We are really pleased to have Richard Vine here tonight to speak about Liu Shiming, Sculpture as Truth.
So I'm going to do a general introduction to Liu Shiming and his life and work. This is Liu Shiming. And if you look at those life dates, you may realize that we're in for a journey, if you know anything about recent Chinese history. I think of Liu Shiming as a man who tried to live a simple life, completely dedicated to art, in a very dramatically complicated political era. Here, for example, is the town that Liu Shiming grew up in. The very center of the town is divided into 8 districts by 8 foreign countries. So you had a civil war between the nationalists and communists within China itself, and then in the middle of it, Japan invaded. The loss of life is very hard to grasp. Mao, even when he was in retreat, was already planning what society would be like when he came to power. So when he finally did come to power in 1949, he instituted socialist realism throughout China. In the midst of this, Liu Shiming goes to the Central Academy of Fine Art in Beijing. So his very first work is called Measuring the Land, and this celebrates the redistribution process. Mao instituted this policy of redistributing the land to the peasants. Students were required to go out to the countryside and observe this. With Liu Shiming, we come to this point around 1960 when he leaves. He's part of the most famous sculptural team in China, but he suddenly decides to chuck it all and go off to the provinces. I think Liu Shiming then combined both the iconography of the countryside and poverty with the technique of the folk. And then we come to 1966. Liu Shiming gets married. He marries a woman who's a widow and has 2 children. He turned into a wonderful father, deeply loved by his stepchildren, one of whom is the man behind this foundation. But the other thing that happened in 1966 was the beginning of the Cultural Revolution. Here you see how he portrays it, but again, he portrays it with a certain warmth and a certain actual rapport. I think then we should leave him to his work. Here he is working intently and staring intently and looking out, looking at the other and trying to understand the other and express the other. And I would submit that this is the true art of the people. So with that, I say thank you.